Hello, hello, hello. This is Warren Redlick. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to the moderators for helping out with the chat. Slow mode on chat today. Anyone can participate. Thanks for watching. I'm going to talk about, brief introduction here. We're going to go into SpaceX. We're going to go into Tesla. We're going to go into Lucid Motors. We're going to talk about Elon, and then we're going to do Q&A, starting with Patreon Q&A. Starters, thank you to the Vasa Law Firm and all my Patreon supporters for helping this channel grow. You can support the channel by clicking the link in Patreon. There's also a political channel that I run, The Daily Lie. There's a link to that in the description below. And of course, there's the merch. ElonBits.com for the merch. Link to that in the description below. Lots of other stuff. Please read the description below. Let's move on. Let's talk about SpaceX. So, some good stuff happened. SpaceX part is going to be short. We're going to move into Tesla. That's going to be longer. But there was this tweet from ERCX Space talking about a possible spin separation method for Starship. So when the booster is launching Starship up into the atmosphere, at what point does, when Starship separates from the booster, how does the separation work? If you read Eric Berger's book Liftoff, that was actually an issue with, I think, the third Falcon 1 launch, that the separation was a bad moment and that wrecked the launch. And they figured that out and gotten it straightened out for the fourth launch. So, you know, how this part is handled is good. And Elon said it was pretty close. Here's the video of it. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. You can see it's rising up. And then I'd like to tell you I understand spin separation. I think the idea is that instead of just falling away, the top of the booster moves away from Starship. Let's watch that again. If you look at the top of the booster, instead of just falling directly away, the top of the booster moves up and away. So I guess that's the spin they're talking about rather than a rotational spin. Interesting stuff. And Elon said, pretty close. You can see at the bottom here, Elon says it's pretty close. So that's an interesting little tidbit about what's coming for Starship. Great picture here. I've been to Starbase. I'm planning to go back soon. Very, very scenic to see. This is the manufacturing site rather than the launch site. You can see the high bays. You can see the satellite communications things. You can see the two Starships in the background. This is still the launch site, the manufacturing site rather than the launch site, but a really gorgeous view. And Elon called it the gateway to Mars. Starbase is the gateway to Mars. I think Elon has said before that Canaveral will do a lot of launches, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Great audio, no politics, please. Just making sure that chat's okay. Thanks, everyone. My chat's way over here now, so it's hard for me. I have to work on this setup. I don't know. Anyway, so then this image from C. Nunez. Is this really happening? This is an image of the launch tower, and Elon says truth is stranger than fiction. Here is the actual image that was tweeted. Really beautiful. This is the stand that Starship Super Heavy will sit, that Super Heavy will sit on, or has already sat on, but will sit on for launch. The Starship goes on top of that. And then up here, these are the chopsticks that when Super Heavy comes down, when Super Heavy comes down, it's going to land in these are going to catch it and then place it back on the launch tower. That's the plan. Crazy stuff, but looking really interesting. Okay, so that was pretty much all I had for SpaceX. There's a lot of activity going on at Starbase. I had one other thing, which was, what did I do with it? Oh, F9 vertical. Wait, sorry. Okay, this is Falcon 9 is going vertical. This is the Falcon 9 that is going to, and Crew Dragon, that is going to take the Crew 3 team, Crew 3 crew, up to the International Space Station. I was actually going to go watch this launch last night, and I was going to start this live stream late because I was going to be watching this launch late, and it got postponed due to bad weather. So they had a good practice run. Lucid news is coming later in the video, but let's just see that really quickly again. This is the Falcon 9 rocket booster and the cargo. There's a stage 2 and Crew Dragon on top. This is going to be going to the International Space Station. I think they postponed it till November 3rd. Really, really exciting. Really looking forward to this. And I am probably going to go watch this launch live in person from Titusville. or somewhere else near Canaveral. Really looking forward to that. Okay, so that's the basic news, that they're about to launch yet another crew to the space station. SpaceX is crushing it at Starbase. Starbase is growing fast, making progress. I think Elon said recently that he thinks that they'll be ready for launch soon, and we're just waiting for the FAA to clear it. So really, really exciting. Okay, so next, we're going to talk about Tesla. So it started with this Ross Gerber, love Ross Gerber. Ross said, what a way to start the week, 100,000 cars from Hertz. Talked about that. And Elon said, strange that moved valuation, as Tesla is very much a production ramp problem, not a demand problem. Tesla is production constrained. Their challenge is not getting people to buy their cars. They have a backlog of orders. Their problem is getting to be able to produce the cars. And Elon made a point here. There was no discount. Hertz paid full price for 100,000 cars. Normally, when you buy in volume, there's some kind of discount. Zero discount. Now, I suspect there's more to this deal relating to robo-taxi use or some sharing of resources. My gut guess is there's something else going on in the Hertz deal. But the reason this moved the stock is it just totally demolished the... Just one second. What's this? Weird. Hi, Tom Nash. Thank you for joining the chat. So there was this remaining perspective, or this perspective that won't die on Wall Street, promulgated by Tesla Q, that there's some kind of demand problem for Tesla. And even though orders of Model Y are backlogged to like June of next year, some models are backlogged to like September of next year. There's basically infinite demand for Tesla cars at this point. I think the more people buy a Tesla, I keep taking friends for rides. I just took a friend for a ride yesterday in my Model 3. Anybody buys a Tesla, they take a few people for a ride. Nobody buys a Camry and that says, hey, let's go for a ride in my Camry. Never happens. But people show off their Tesla, and that increases demand. So demand is through the roof, but Wall Streeters didn't see it. And now you have sort of an established company, even one coming out of bankruptcy, ordering 100,000 Teslas, and all of a sudden the business model becomes a lot clearer. Stainless steel water bottle and t-shirts at elonbits.com, by the way. So this is, you know, Elon is stuck on he knows inside the company, we don't have a demand problem, we have a production problem. But Wall Street doesn't see the production problem as clearly as they thought they saw a demand problem. And the demand problem was wiped out. Now, what's really interesting going forward, I think that's all I had on the share price in my images. So I want to talk about the stock price, because the stock price hit. Oh, do I have an image for that? Let me see if I have an image for that. I do. I forgot about this. The stock price hit over $1,100 a share, $1,114 a share closing on Friday. This is crazy from the perspective of Wall Streeters. It is not crazy if you understand where Tesla is going. I still think this is low. I've seen other people say it. This is cheap. This is a stock that's going to $10,000 a share or higher. My bear case for 2030, if everything goes wrong, Tesla's going to be trading at $8,000 a share. That's leaving out inflation. Okay, that's just today's dollars. Tesla's going to be trading at $8,000 a share if everything goes wrong. And there's no Tesla bot. The robo-taxi thing doesn't work out. They don't produce as many vehicles. They don't get as much batteries. They're still $8,000 a share in 2030. And, you know, $1,100 today to buy something that's going to be worth $8,000 in 2030 is crazy cheap. If I told you could buy a stock that was going to 8x in 9 years, you would jump all over it. So I think the stock is genuinely worth $2,500 a share today and possibly more. That's on the bear case. So there's a question I get. People frequently talk about, well, what's going to happen to the stock next week? I hate making short-term stock price predictions. I think that's a fool's errand. I don't think you can predict short-term stock prices. But I think we know there's one side of it that, like, people have figured out this is going to be the largest company in the world and they want to get in on it before it gets too big. There's another issue, which is there's so much cash in the economy thanks to the Federal Reserve pumping cash into the economy that the money has to go somewhere. John Macri says 8x. Wow, something will prevent that. Yeah, 100x will prevent that. The good scenario where robo-taxis actually work and Tesla starts producing them in high volume and Tesla bot takes off in 2026, 2027, and that takes off, that's $100,000 a share. And that means that the stock is worth $20,000 a share today if the good news happens, right? So let's be clear. Okay. Weird stuff in the chat. I'm not going to worry about it. So that was some good news. And then a little bit of Jay Leno. Jay Leno said some nice stuff about Tesla again. He's been talking nice about Tesla for a while. He says, when you own the company, you can do whatever you want. Some people love it, some people hate it, but that's why all other cars look alike, because everything else has to be designed by committee. At Tesla, things aren't designed by committee. People have ideas and Elon makes the call. One guy decides this is how it's going to be. And he has a good sense of what people want. It's kind of like Steve Jobs at Apple. So if people get it, people get it. Let me just see here. Sorry. I don't know. When people get it, people get it. And that's the story. So, you know, Elon thinks that Tesla is the most valuable company in the world because, sorry, Jay Leno thinks that this, and then just this cute little comment from Elon. First, Jay says, can you imagine any of the major auto manufacturers saying, let's call this high performance feature plaid like they did in Spaceballs as a joke? If you fired or thrown out of office, Musk is the reason it's the most valuable car company in the world. And Elon says we basically stole our product roadmap from Spaceballs, which makes me wonder what's next. Is the model, is the battery day vehicle going to be called the yogurt? Like, I don't think he would go that far, but he could call it the yogurt. I think we need to start a thing on Twitter to get Elon to call the battery day vehicle the yogurt, because that would be from Spaceballs. It's just an idea. But, you know, I do kind of wonder when he says we stole our product roadmap from Spaceballs, is there something else in Spaceballs that's coming that we haven't seen yet? I guess the RV, the motorhome would be a good one. Of course, designed by committee. Thank you, Tom. So another thing about Tesla, Kim Paquette, love Kim Paquette. She's an FSD beta tester, longtime FSD beta tester. She talked about how traffic deaths rose dramatically in the first 6 months of 2021 compared to last year. Now, I think this is a little bit misleading because 2020 had a depressed amount of traffic because of something happening in society, who knows what. So there was an increase in traffic because the economy bounced back. So that's going to increase traffic deaths because there's more traffic. But it is true that traffic deaths are higher, and it's the highest first half total since 2006. 2006 must have been a bad year, and Elon says, unfortunately, yes. You know, Tesla's goal is to reduce traffic deaths, and Elon talked about that. Tesla released a Dojo white paper, which is a really technical read. This is something that you have to be a serious computer geek to get into. I read it, and I understood 20% maybe, and that might be optimistic. Elon says this is more important than it may seem at first. It basically relates to, a large chunk of it is related to a different way of coding, like data format. And I'm in over my head talking about what it is. But Pranay Padhol, who Elon often responds to, says over time, Dojo will be able to predict with, you know, ridiculous accuracy what a good driver would do in a set of input conditions. And once it's supervised, accidents caused due to human error will drop to basically zero. And Elon says reducing traffic fatalities by 90% seems likely, perhaps ultimately by over 99%. Now, let's be clear. In the US, roughly 40,000 traffic deaths a year. That could be down to 4,000 or 400, saving 36,000 or 39,600 lives. That is big. Worldwide, 1 million traffic deaths a year. We're talking about saving 900,000 lives or 990,000 lives. This is a monster big deal. This is really, really important. Did I just my math wrong? So people who know, if you watch my channel, I did a video talking about the friend of mine, my daughter's friend, who was hit by a car in Florida and killed. And that accident probably would not have happened, or would have been much less severe if the car had Tesla FSD. Even, you know, any Tesla's emergency avoidance, it was an older car. If it was a modern car with Tesla's emergency avoidance features, it probably would have seen the kid and stopped. Maybe it still would have hit her. But I am particularly motivated because I do not want to see more children die. I want to see fewer children die. I know there's lots of Lucid trolls in the chat who want to trash me about Lucid Motors. Tesla saves lives. And I should mention, I am now driving FSD Beta. And just the other day, I was driving home, or I should say FSD Beta was driving me home. And there's moments when FSD Beta is driving where there's like a phantom slowdown, I'll call it. the car starts to slow down and you don't see why. And a lot of the times it's probably wrong. But you don't hit the accelerator right away because it might be right. And I didn't hit the accelerator right away. And that's when I saw the guy walk out in front of the car. And FSD saw him before it was dark. I think he stepped out from behind some trees. I didn't see him. I was looking. I was paying attention. But I didn't see him. The car saw him. The car stopped. It probably saved his life. Now, it happened so fast. You always hear that. For some reason it didn't record. I didn't hit the button. I thought it was gonna be anyway. I'm setting up. I've got a new thumb drive to plug in, so I'll be better about recording these incidents. But really striking that I personally experienced that probably the first time since I started driving FSD beta. Really, really impressed with it. This is going to save a lot of lives. Huge. So let's move on. And related to that, Elon talked about FSD beta and the FSD improvements. They're slowing down the upload rate of releases going forward. That was October 27th, and released 1,000 cars an hour to external beta on Friday. So I think instead of releasing beta to all the customers at once, it's going to be like, 1,000 people here, 1,000 people there, 1,000 people there, so that they don't, crash their network, I guess. But starts uploading Friday afternoon next week. So that's this coming week. We're going to see another iteration. That's version 10.4. I believe we're going to see 10.4. I think we're going to see 10.4 next week. It improves left turns across fast traffic and stopping for gates. I have seen that left turns across fast traffic has gotten a little bit better in my own experience. One person's experience is really hard to compare to what's really going on with Tesla, with FSD, and stopping for gates. It definitely improved for me on gates. I live in a gated community, and I frequently visit another gated community where it still has trouble with gates, but it did better with some gates when they went to 10.3. And I think when they go to 10.4, it's going to be even better. So I'm really excited about this. These are small things, but they matter a long time. Sorry, 1 second. There's a lot of trolls on the channel here. Wow, this is crazy. A lot of trolls. Ohayou gozaimasu. That's crazy. Okay, so, and for you Lucid trolls, I'm coming to you. Don't worry, I'm going to get to Lucid shortly. And I'm going to, I want to say something here. I'm going to be making a video this coming week about Lucid. And if you're a Lucid troll, you're really not going to like it. If you are a Lucid fan, if you believe Lucid, you're not going to like it. I have more to say about Lucid today. More to say about Lucid today. That's coming. So be patient. And thank you so much to the moderators for watching this, for watching the chat, because it makes a big difference. It really helps make the chat usable. And I'm just going to say this. I'm going to say this right now to all the Lucid trolls. You're inspiring me to make more videos about Lucid. Keep attacking the channel. Keep attacking me. I will keep making videos about Lucid. The more you attack me, the more I'm going to respond. Keep it up. Peter Rawlinson, probably watching right now. I'm coming for you. You have you've unleashed your army of trolls on me and this channel, on Twitter, etc. I was rooting for you until September 2020, until you started lying to the public, and you started lying to the public more at the SPAC merger. But we're going to talk about Lucid next. Let me stick with Tesla. So Lisa G-Punkt talked about German news, and there was a conclusion on a German news channel that Model 3 is the best-selling car in Germany, and this is it took the place of the Volkswagen Golf, and this is an end of an era for German car manufacturers. And Elon is very positive about German car manufacturers. They will rebound strongly. They possess great talent, which will not sit idle. And Tesla will soon be a German car manufacturer because Giga Berlin is going to start producing. So, sorry. Thank you to the moderators. So, So I think we have to understand one of the critical things for success in manufacturing is having great talent that's willing to work hard. And the German car companies do have that. They're going to have to go through some hell because Tesla's going to take a lot of sales, and some of them are going to go under. Some of them are, for all you Lucid trolls, I don't just pick on Lucid. Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW, They are all at serious risk. They're going to lose so much sales when Model Y production ramps up in Giga Berlin. So much sales are going to be lost by German car companies. I think they're going to go bankrupt. I think at least some of them are going to go bankrupt. They're going to get bailed out by their governments. And then they're going to have this challenge. How do we rebuild to continue making cars? And they're going to have to revise how they do things. And they have great talent. And they have a role model to look at how Tesla is doing things. So can they rebuild in a way, rebuild their companies, rebuild their industry in a way that allows them to be successful and to compete? That's a big question. So then Rivian, production rate stalled at just over one electric truck today. That was a story from Drive Tesla Canada. Elon talked about this. He says this all the time. Prototypes are trivial compared to scaling production and supply chain. If those are solved, achieving positive gross margins is the next nightmare. There's a lot of hurdles, and he does not think starting a second vehicle line before the first is working is the right choice. And Elon says this is intended to be useful advice based on his extremely painful experience, not an attack in any way. I think that, like, I will say this personally, I like Rivian. I did like Lucid before they started lying to the public. I like the Porsche Taycan. I like the Mustang Mach-E. People think I'm like this Tesla fanboy. But this is a really hard thing that these companies are trying to do, and I'm rooting for Rivian, and I still want Lucid to succeed, even though it'll hurt my reputation, because I want to see more EV manufacturers out there. But, lying about it isn't the way to do it, and, not learning from others' mistakes is a big mistake. And Rivian, according to Elon right here, Rivian is not learning from Tesla's mistakes. We'll see. I think Rivian's really heavy. I think we're going to see about this valuation at 80 billion. We're waiting for the IPO information. But, Elon, I don't think has ever been negative about Rivian, where he's been a little bit negative about Lucid occasionally. And I already covered that. So that is the Tesla news. Let's move on to Lucid. All you Lucid people are excited, so let's talk about it. Lucid had a delivery event, and they posted some pictures. It was kind of odd being a Tesla fan. It was kind of odd seeing just pictures, no live stream video, no journalists, no interviews with the lucky customers who picked up their cars. Something felt off to me about it. Like everything else with Lucid, something felt off to me. So I think there's something going on with Lucid, and I still think that I wanted to cover this first, just really quick before I get into that. Big event coming up for Lucid is their third quarter fiscal financial results. There will be an earnings call. There will be an earnings call. Will they take questions from investment analysts? Will they take questions from shareholders? Are they going to use the Say Technologies format so that retail investors can ask questions? Are they going to take questions, or are they going to give a simple report without a lot of substance? Is it going to be the same fluff that we're used to seeing from Lucid? This is an opportunity for Lucid to start being open and honest. They have been the opposite of transparent. They've been opaque, a lot of different things. So, like Javad says, it's not cool to make jokes on EV companies like Lucid. I'm not making jokes about Lucid. Lucid is I believe, this is an opinion, Lucid is a fraud. Okay, I'm being really clear about this, and I want to follow up on this. I was talking with somebody this morning who has connections, who's friends with people at Lucid, who likes the people, who thinks that they're trying. And what he said about Lucid was striking. Let me find it. He said, they don't have this is somebody who knows people there, who believes that they're trying. They don't have a car, really. That was the only 12. The ones that were at the reveal event were the only 12 there are. This is from a source. This is his opinion. They are hiding that they can't scale. They had to show that they delivered something. It's very hard, many supply chain issues. Other companies have them too. We referred to another one of these companies. Because that's why Tesla is more amazing, because Tesla is able to deal with all this. He said he met all the people. They're not fake. The people at Lucid he believes are not fake. He says the cars are good, but the car is very expensive. It's very nice. They have huge specs, and it's very tough to build the big battery. And they can't seem to scale. It's the same issue, batteries. Then they have to make a hard car on top of a hard battery. It's just hard. Tesla makes much easier cars on top of a scaled battery design, and then has amazing software. So this is somebody who believes in Lucid Motors. This is somebody who ordered a Lucid Motors, who ordered a Lucid Air and is waiting to get it. Look at this. Ask Our Easy says the source is clearly invalid since the count of deliveries is already over 30 confirmed, question mark. What? Confirmed where? Where is this confirmed? Where is this confirmed? This is ridiculous. This is someone who I trust. This is someone who a lot of people in the community trust, who believes that they can't scale production. They had to have this event to get by. This is to get them through the November 15th earnings call. But this is a question. What do you, for you Lucid trolls out there, what do you expect Lucid to do at the November 15th earnings call? Are they going to take questions from investment analysts? Is Pierre Ferragu going to be invited to ask questions? Is anybody from Morgan Stanley, from Goldman Sachs, are they going to have any of these? Because Tesla takes these questions every investor call. Are they going to let retail investors ask questions? Are they going to be institutional investor questions? Or are they just going to do a bunch of announcements and then not take any questions? Because they haven't taken hard questions yet. They have not taken hard questions yet. So we're going to see, are they going to take hard questions? What's the story going to be going forward? What's the SEC filing going to be? There's a lot to see here. We're going to see how this goes. So Ask Our Easy says, watch their 2-minute video of Lucid's rolling out. Only that is more than 12. It's not 12 delivered. They had 12 cars at the event. They only delivered. I can only confirm 4 or 5 deliveries. And I want to be clear about this. That image. This is Dr. Ian Terrace. This is Dr. Ian Terrace. He's a gynecologist in the LA area. He's real. He's been a Lucid fan since 2017. There was another delivery. So, and you know, he hasn't responded to me on Twitter other than a fake account that pretended to be him responding rudely to me on Twitter. This is a real guy. He's a real Tesla fan. And my experience from what I saw of the people who actually got deliveries, at least 2, and I think 3 of them are Tesla fans who own multiple Teslas. And they are excited about Lucid. They want to see someone else succeed. And my source this morning is a Tesla fan who wants to see Lucid succeed. That this notion that I'm critical of Lucid because I'm a Tesla fanboy and I'm threatened, the people who are excited about Lucid are Tesla fans who are excited about, being a Tesla fan doesn't make you anti-Lucid. What makes me anti-Lucid is I believe they are lying. I believe they are lying. I believe they are committing a fraud on the general public. I believe they started committing a fraud on the general public as early as September 2020. And I haven't seen anything to change my mind yet. Yes, they delivered a few cars yesterday. Where are the fan videos? Where are these guys showing off videos saying, hey, check out my new Lucid Air? Now, maybe this is coming. Is somebody going to bring their Lucid Air to Drag Times on Twitter, at Drag Times, to run it against a Model X, to run it against a Lucid, a Tesla Model S long range, to run it against a Performance Model 3, to run it against a Ferrari? Are we going to see Lucid Airs on drag strips? Are we going to see fan videos of this is how awesome my Lucid is? Where is that? Because when they had the plaid delivery event, I was there. People were posting photos from the event. People were posting videos from the event. Tesla live streamed the event. Why wasn't this event live streamed? Jiwan says there's videos circulating around general public driving Lucid vehicles. Where? No, I'm talking about the ones that were just delivered. Why aren't they celebrating this? Everything they do looks, somebody says, Philip says, Lucid Air release seemed very staged. Everything they do looks staged. Look at this quote here. When my hands are on 10 and 2, I feel the Lucid passion. Who talks like that? Who talks like that? This is, and Lucid, and are these people investors? How much stock does Dr. Terrace own in Lucid? He's been following Lucid since 2017. Does he have a stake in Lucid stock going up? I don't know. I'm not trying to criticize him. I'm just saying we don't know. They're hiding. They're constantly hiding things. They're constantly the opposite of transparent. Tesla does investor calls. They take questions. They answer questions. They have events. They take questions. Lucid is the opposite of transparent. That is the problem that I see. Where's my arrow? I don't know why that was hidden. This is the fundamental problem with Lucid is they are the opposite of transparent. So going forward, here's what happens. My bet, and one of the criticism I get from Lucid Trolls is, aha, you said they would never deliver a car. Yeah, okay, you got me. They delivered a few cars. I've said a lot of things that are wrong with Lucid Motors. I'm going to make a video this week. I got one other video coming. I'm going to make a video about how to visit Starbase. And I'm going to make a video about Lucid Motors that should drop Wednesday, Thursday this week that will answer a lot of these questions. So if you're a troll and you keep trolling me, you keep giving me incentive to make more videos. So I've got one coming. The next one's going to be a big one. It's going to be my best viewed video of Lucid yet. So keep going. Keep trolling me. Keep bugging my moderators. It's coming. So, all right, that was Lucid. I think I've covered what I wanted to cover there. So let's move on to Elon. A little bit of Elon tweets. This was, of course, Elon getting controversy. I'm thinking of starting new university, Texas Institute of Technology and Science, aka TITS. It will have epic merch, universally admired. Elon joking. Of course, this led to the woke attacks. Oh no, Elon, he's creating a hostile. Oh, thank you, Dave, for joining the channel at the exclusive content level. Dave Pelletier in the chat just joined in the exclusive content level. Exclusive content members get early access to some videos. They get to ask questions for the live stream in advance, and they get some additional content. And just really appreciate that support. So thank you, Dave, for joining the channel. So Elon made this joke, and of course, a lot of us made jokes about it. And of course, the woke universe decided that Elon is making a hostile work environment for women. And we all know Gwynne Shotwell hates being president of SpaceX, right? You know, you can have fun, and unfortunately, you can't have fun. And there were plenty of women on Twitter, like Morgan Sarkeesian, who had a little witty back and forth with Elon about it, and Ashley, I think her name is too. So then there's this thing from the director of the UN Food Scarcity Organization, World Food Program or something like that, says that 2% of Elon Musk's wealth could solve world hunger. So Dr. Eli David tweets at the top, in 2020, the UN World Food Program raised $8.4 billion. How come that didn't solve world hunger when 2% of Elon's wealth is $6 billion? And Elon responded, if World Food Program can describe on this Twitter thread exactly how $6 billion will solve world hunger, I will sell Tesla stock right now and do it. But it must be open source accounting so the public sees precisely how the money is spent. Elon knows this. UN organizations are corrupt. They waste a ridiculous amount of money. The money does not go where it's supposed to. This idea that taking 2% of Elon's wealth would solve the world's problems is absurd. And I congratulate Elon and Dr. Eli David for calling them out on this. Brilliant stuff. Just, you know, this is random Elon on Twitter stuff. This is a little bit of SpaceX-y, a little bit of Tesla related. Christian Davenport said Musk would pay as much as $50 billion under the tax, while Bezos would pay as much as $44 billion. This tax apparently died. This not wealth tax. That was a tax on wealthy. I loved it. Janet Yellen said it's not a wealth tax. It's just a tax on wealthy people. How ridiculous do you have to get to say it's not a wealth tax? It's just a tax on wealthy people. I don't know how much Gwynne Shotwell has, but president of SpaceX, she probably has a ridiculous. I mean, she's an early employee too. So Elon says his plan is to use the money to get humanity to Mars and preserve the light of consciousness. And I want to be clear about this. The way I see I'll probably make a video about this, but there's a way that I see Elon having this wealth, getting humanity to Mars. And it works like this. The rough estimate is that it will cost $200,000 a person. Once Starship is up and running, it's going to cost $200,000. Once Starship, moon missions to Mars are working and we're able to travel to Mars consistently, it's going to cost about $200,000 for a trip to Mars for a person. And Elon's goal is 1 million people on Mars. So $200,000 times 1 million people is $200 billion. $200,000 a person times 1 million people is $200 billion. Now, it's not just getting the people to Mars, it's also getting their stuff to Mars. And it's getting everything else to Mars. So let's say it's another $800 billion to get all their stuff to Mars. You get all the stuff that you need to make this colony moving forward. That's $1 trillion. Now, I believe Elon's net worth is going to be way more than $1 trillion. I think he's going to get to 2 trillion, 5 trillion or more. And he's basically, there's this question, what's the economic model for the Mars mission? The economic model for the Mars mission is Elon's the customer. Elon is paying for it. So SpaceX is going to get all this revenue from Elon taking dividends from Starlink, taking dividends from Tesla once it starts spinning off dividends, selling some stock to fund a Mars colony. Elon, we can't rely on governments being the customer. Elon is the customer. So he's going to use his money that he's generated by saving the world, by making us safe from traffic accidents, by providing us low-cost internet access, by giving humanity a chance to get off this rock and survive the potential, some kind of potential apocalyptic event, some kind of extinction event. Getting a growing civilization on Mars and then beyond Mars is the way to make humanity survive and preserve the light of consciousness. So Elon and the Boring Company is going to generate huge amounts of dividends, and Neuralink's going to. So Elon is going to use that money to be able to get there. All great stuff. So, I think this was I think people underestimate the importance of this. I probably should do a video about how Elon's money gets us to Mars and creates a colony on Mars. So maybe that's a video that's coming. There's a little bit about inflation. Kathy Wood, I'm an investor in ARK Invest. I actually have two. I'm very diversified because I have Tesla in 3 different accounts. I only have ARK Invest in 2 different accounts, so I'm not as diversified as I should be. But anyway, Jack from Twitter, Jack Dorsey said hyperinflation is going to change everything. It's happening. I was surprised to see this from Jack. Jack is big on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a hedge against hyperinflation. I have been talking about hyperinflation since 2013. I think 2020, the Federal Reserve. Google M1 Fred, and see how much money they've printed. There's reasons to be concerned about hyperinflation. Kathy Wood thinks that technology and velocity of money are preventing inflation from going crazy. That velocity is still falling. I don't know what side to believe. Elon says, I don't know about long term, but short term, we are seeing strong inflationary pressure. Prices are going up. Asset prices are going up. Home prices are going up. Stock prices are going up. There's all this cash that's funding a $60 billion valuation for Lucid Motors and maybe an $80 billion valuation for Rivian, companies that aren't really producing cars or anything in any significant volume. Tesla's $1 trillion stock. All the people who are Tesla Q and think Tesla shouldn't be worth $1 trillion. Well, maybe one of the reasons it's worth $1 trillion is the Fed is flooding the economy with cash. So, and then Elon just makes fun that Psaki points out that, I don't know how to pronounce her name, that inflation doesn't matter since there's no goods to purchase anyway. I don't think that's true. I've heard people say that the store shelves are empty. I've been ordering stuff from Amazon left and right, because I'm filling out this new space, and I'm not having any problem getting stuff. So, Scott Taylor says the billionaire tax bill probably died in Congress when they realized it would affect more than half of Congress. So I don't talk about politics on this channel much. So I have a channel called The Daily Lie. There's a link in the description below. It's on Locals. It's on the Locals platform. To see the videos, you at least have to follow the channel, which is free. To see all the content, you have to pay to be a supporter, but most of the content is free. So please check out The Daily Lie below. And I'm going to be making some videos on The Daily Lie this week. I've been getting this space organized and getting my life organized, and that's been stalling it. But I'm going to start. I really feel like I'm going to start in gear and producing more videos starting this week. Really quick, also, the United Auto Workers, the Energy Secretary, this maybe should have been a Tesla story, but the Energy Secretary defended tax credits for EVs made by unionized automakers. In the current proposed bill to create tax credits for EVs, there's a big sweetener for companies that employ unions, that they would get an extra $4,500 tax credit. And Elon pointed out that the second UAW president was sentenced to 28 months in prison and union corruption probe. The United Auto Workers is a corrupt union. Maybe all unions are corrupt, but certainly the United Auto Workers Union has a history of corruption. And Elon just pointed it out. I actually do not think, I've said this before, I don't think the EV tax credit is going to happen. I think that people like to talk about the EV tax credit, but no matter how they structure the EV tax credit, it does more for Tesla than it does for anyone else because Tesla makes more EVs than anyone else. So it gives a little bit of benefit to Ford and General Motors, maybe. But they don't produce enough cars, enough electric vehicles to make enough from the EV tax credit. Tesla's going to produce 1.5 million, 2 million cars next year if they're going to get the tax credit. I think the cap was $55,000. So basically, every Model 3 standard range. And what you'll probably do is you'll probably buy Model 3s and Model Ys without FSD, get your tax credit, and then buy FSD after. You know, it'll just be you'll get your FSD separately as a software upgrade, and you'll still get your tax credit. So you're going to see Model 3s and Model Ys, a large percentage of them, especially when Giga Texas spools up and gets its manufacturing costs down and catches up with demand. You're going to see a lot of Model 3s and Model Ys sold at like $54,999. Our Model Ys are high. I think the threshold for this SUV is higher. So you're going to see a lot of Model 3s at $54,999, and you're going to see a lot of Model Ys at whatever the cap is on that. Maybe it was 75. Huge volume. But I just think that practically speaking, the other car companies do not really want an EV tax credit because they don't make enough EVs to benefit from it. So that's why I think it's not going to. Now, I've been wrong. I'm always wrong about politics. I predict elections long. I predict everything wrong. So we'll see if I'm right or I'm wrong about that. But I think the EV tax credit is not going to happen. I think this is just a dance to distract people from other things that are going on so that we don't pay attention to how else they're wasting our money. So, again, we're going to do a Q&A now. Before I do the Q&A, I need to get my... Oh, sorry. Let's see. Have it up. Wait a minute. What did I do with it? Oh, no. Oh, it's here. Okay. So, before I start, I want to thank the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden, all my Patreon supporters. Links in the description below. We're going to do a couple of Patreon. We only have a couple of Patreon questions this week, so we're going to do Patreon questions first. Dev asks, won't Tesla release ability to summon robo-taxis through the Tesla app? Yeah, the expectation is, I don't know whether it's going to be the Tesla app itself or it's going to be a separate app for robo-taxi, because the Tesla app is for Tesla owners. The robo-taxi app will probably be a separate app, but yes, the idea would be you would have an app on your phone, just like the Uber app. There would be an app on your phone saying, hey, I need a ride, and a car would show up at your door. Now, there's a recent deal between Tesla and Hertz and Uber. Is Tesla going to partner with Uber going forward on the robo-taxi network? I would be wrong if that's what happened. I mean, maybe my put on Lyft would be successful. My put on Uber would be out, but I actually put more on my Lyft put, so we'll see. He said, what are my thoughts about Hertz being a, quote, unnecessary middleman in the best middleman is no middleman type situation? So here's my take on that. The vehicles that Tesla is producing now are not full-on robo-taxis yet. So when they produce 100,000 cars, they can sell them to consumers or they can sell them to Hertz. Let's consider those two alternatives. You can sell it to someone like me, or you can sell it to a company like Hertz. So when the average consumer buys a Tesla, it spends 2 hours a day on the road and 22 hours a day in their garage. When Hertz buys a vehicle and puts it out as a robo-taxi, so and the average Tesla buyer is probably not going to put their vehicle in the robo-taxi network, or if they are going to put it in the robo-taxi network, they're not going to put it in for as many hours as Hertz. Hertz is going to put their vehicles on the robo-taxi network for 18 hours a day. So if I'm going to put my vehicle in the network for 6 hours a day and Hertz is going to put it in for 18 hours a day, it means that Tesla gets 3 times as much robo-taxi availability in the robo-taxi network at the beginning. Zero System asks, am I short or do I have puts on Lucid? I have no investment in Lucid Motors. Zero investment in Lucid Motors. I did look at buying long puts and I didn't like the numbers. I think a lot of people have bought long puts on Lucid Motors. I think it's a heavily shorted company. We'll see what happens. But I have no investment interest in Lucid Motors whatsoever. No investment interest in Rivian. No investment interest. I did buy stock in Hertz this week. I'm impressed with the Hertz deal for Hertz. So, and let's talk about Hertz for a second. I did make a video about this, but imagine that Hertz has a fleet of 100,000 robo-taxis, and each robo-taxi makes $50,000 in profit a year. Oh, Ted, thank you for joining the channel at the exclusive content level. Again, thank you. Please join the channel, support the channel. Very much appreciated. Imagine that that Hertz has 100,000 robo-taxis that each make $50,000 a year in profit. That's $5 billion a year in gross profit for Hertz. When I bought stock in Hertz, it was trading at $13 billion market cap. At a $5 billion a year gross profit, its value is probably $60 billion. I think my stock in Hertz is going to 4x in a few years. Now, it was a small play. Very, very small compared to my holding in Tesla. But I just thought, you know what? Let me support that a little bit, and let's see if I can make some money on that. And maybe it ends up being worth more. Maybe they go to 200,000. We'll see what happens with that. I think, and just as a rental car fleet, because they're lower cost to own and their resale value is higher. I think Hertz is going to make a killing on this, and they can monitor the cars better with Tesla insurance. With Tesla's tools for Tesla insurance, they can monitor the safety score of the rental car drivers, and maybe they decide we're not going to let this person drive a Hertz anymore because of that. So there's a lot of different things going on. So sorry. But I think the short answer is that Hertz buying a Tesla is more valuable at a full price, is more valuable to Tesla than me buying a Tesla, than the average consumer buying a Tesla, because Hertz will put all of them in the Robo-Taxi network when the Robo-Taxi network goes live. And they'll be in the network 18 hours a day, and they will generate a lot more revenue, and they'll create a lot more supply, so it makes the Robo-Taxi network more viable. And Tesla can probably say to Hertz, hey, we're opening in California. Can you shift a bunch of the Model 3s over to California? And they can share resources. You know, Tesla-owned robo-taxis will be able to charge at a Hertz facility. Hertz vehicles will be able to charge at a supercharger network. Hertz already has a system for cleaning cars in place, so robo-taxis will be able to stop at a Hertz location and get cleaned. There's so many advantages to this when you look forward to the robo-taxi network. Rebecca Mills asks, do I think Tesla shareholders will have any early access to Starlink or SpaceX should they go public? Elon has said that. I don't know mechanically how that would work. Okay, so I think I answered Dev's question. Let me turn to Damien, has a few questions. He asked about the James Webb Space Telescope launch later this year to an L2 orbit. I do know what an L2 orbit is. That's a Lagrange orbit. I am excited about the opportunities for astronomy from space-based astronomy. I don't know a lot about the James Webb Space Telescope, but I am excited to see more of that. I think there's more coming. I think we're going to see even bigger and even better astronomy in space. I think a network of Starlink-type satellites that work as a network to do certain kinds of astronomy could be really interesting. I think there's a tremendous array of possibilities of what we're going to see for astronomy in the future, thanks to SpaceX and Starship lowering the cost of access to space, of getting launch up, getting payloads into space. He asks, would SpaceX Super Heavy be able to launch bigger and better space telescopes than the Aryan rocket for NASA? So SpaceX's Starship / Super Heavy launch platform will be able to launch bigger telescopes. I thought I saw something that someone was designing a telescope specifically for Starship to launch into space. I don't remember what Elon was a part of that conversation, but I do remember seeing something that there is a larger telescope coming that will be launched on Starship. Will all the money that SpaceX is saving NASA allow them to build bigger, better, faster, more spectacular space telescopes? I don't know is NASA building the telescopes? I think that SpaceX lowering the cost of launch does have the potential for making NASA capable of doing more. So that's going to be interesting as well. What will NASA do to take advantage of the lower cost of launch? What will other agencies do to take advantage of the lower cost of launch? What will commercial providers do to take advantage of the lower cost of launch? And what will SpaceX do? A lot of tremendous opportunities there. We're going to see really, really big things happening. Bruce is a friend of mine. Bruce in the chat says that Sandy Monroe has not mentioned Arcimoto in a long time. I believe that Arcimoto has supply chain issues like every other company. But I did, if you haven't seen it, I drove an Arcimoto at the Miami Electrified Expo. It's interesting. I wasn't that overwhelmed with it, but I think they're making progress. We'll see. I think they're redesigning and re-engineering their platform, so we'll see what happens with that. Which is rolling out slower, the James Webb Telescope or the Lucid Motors Air? Well, Lucid Motors has launched. The Air has launched. The James Webb Space Telescope is not launched. So I'm going to say that the Lucid Air beat the James Webb Space Telescope to actual usage. All right, so let me turn to the chat. Let me see if I can... I'm still getting used to my new setup here, so give me a second. Let me see if I can make this easier to see. Why does it always do that to me? Okay. So, Chris Anderson says, Cybertruck backlog of 1.5 million. Is it fair to say that a pre-order today would mean a 2025 or later delivery? I would say 2024. I think it depends if they can really ramp production. I think that the demand for Cybertruck is through the roof. So if the supply chain issues get solved, then I think Tesla will probably produce 1 million a year Cybertrucks. I think that we're going to see 1 million Cybertrucks a year coming out of Giga Texas by 2024. So, yeah, I would say order sooner rather than later, but I don't know. Warren Erickson, us Warrens got to stick together, Warren. He says, will Tesla sell cars via Carvana? I don't think so. I don't know why they would. What do I know about Tesla Pi? I get these questions all the time. People are constantly asking about a Tesla mobile phone. So I'm going to say this. I want to be as clear as possible about this. Starlink's frequencies will not work with a phone-sized antenna. Elon has said it needs a pizza box-sized antenna. The antenna is like this big. Unless you're going to carry around a phone antenna, a pizza box-sized antenna with your phone, then the concept of a phone accessing Starlink doesn't work. There's this fundamental physics at work here. I'm not claiming I fully understand it, but as I understand it, as best I understand it, a phone will not work with the Starlink network. I don't believe that Tesla is going to make a cell phone. I think Elon is reasonably happy with his iPhone. You see him tweeting from an iPhone all the time. Elon likes to jump into businesses where there's an opportunity for a 10x improvement. And I don't think there's an opportunity for a 10x improvement in phones. And I don't think it's big enough, and I don't think it's not world changing like electric vehicles or going to space or curing brain diseases or eliminating soul crushing traffic. I don't think a new phone is that much of a jump. And I don't think Starlink, even if it had Starlink capability, I don't think it would be that much of an advantage, because you pretty much have phones to access almost everywhere you go now anyway. And there are satellite phones that do that. So it doesn't make sense to cram all that into a phone. That's my opinion. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Chi-Town says there's no way Uber allows Hertz to do robo-taxi. I don't think Uber can stop Hertz from doing robo-taxi. Why would they stop him? I agree that Uber is the biggest loser when robo-taxi happens. I think Uber goes bankrupt. But maybe Tesla's decided to partner with Uber in some way. I don't know. We'll see. There may be something more there. Let's see what happens with that. How does an Uber driver renting a Tesla make financial sense? What am I missing? I believe the charge was like $300 a week to rent a Tesla. And I think the Uber driver generates $1,000 a week or more in revenue. Maybe it was more than that. I think an Uber driver might generate $1,000 to $2,000 a week with a Tesla, and the cost of the cost of electricity is really low. So I think that it makes sense. Plus, maybe they qualify for a special category on Uber. Maybe Uber's going to make a special category for Tesla rides. I don't know. There's a lot of potential there. It's really going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Does the EV tax credit affect the price of Texas Model Y? I don't remember the exact number. I think the cap on SUVs was like $75,000. So I believe that it will be available to Model Ys, but we don't know what the pricing is going to be on the Texas Model Y. My opinion, and I'm often wrong, my opinion is that the original Model Ys coming out of Texas with 4680 cells and structural pack will be high priced. It will probably be maybe they'll be $74,999 to get the tax credit, but I think they might even be $80,000. I think they're going to be amazing cars. So, Jim Whitehead says L2 is an unstable Lagrange point. Yeah, I'm not sure what the reasoning for that is. It may be that they just have enough power, using solar or whatever. They're going to be able to, ion engines or something. They're going to be able to maintain it in the Lagrange point. I'm sure they thought of that, Jim. I just don't know enough about it. What do I think about Tesla's recent run-up? Do I think it will pull back? I often like to say that what's likely for a stock is that it will fluctuate. Stocks go up, stocks go down on a short-term basis. What do I think Tesla will do long-term? I think Tesla is cheap. I think Tesla should be worth $2,500 or more today. And I think in the long run going out, because I don't worry about what it's going to be worth next week. I worry about what is it going to be worth in 2030. And I think in 2030, it's going to be worth a minimum of $8,000 a share and possibly $50,000 or $100,000 a share. Everything goes right. Even $100,000 a share is within reach. So, let's see. Do I think... Okay, I answered that question. How can Hertz compete with Tesla's robotaxi network? Tesla's plan is to allow privately owned vehicles, and I think Hertz would qualify as privately owned vehicles to participate in the robotaxi network, and Tesla takes a share of the profit, of the revenue. Just like if I put my vehicle in the robotaxi network, Tesla's going to take a share of the revenue. So Hertz is not going to compete with Tesla's robotaxi network. Hertz is going to participate in Tesla's robotaxi network. Do I think Amazon will make an EV play? Amazon has made an EV play. I've read that I don't know if this is correct. I read that they own 20% of Rivian. Oh, Adrian says, if you could work for Tesla, would you? Hell yes. If I could work for any Elon company, I would work for any Elon company. I don't know that I have any skill set that would add value to any of Elon's companies. I do have fantasies. The fantasy that these two companies that I'm starting up a single passenger EV company, and I'm starting up my solar farm apartment company soon. I have a fantasy that those are going to succeed and Tesla will buy me out and I'll become a part of the company through that. But we'll see. So Uber drivers are going to be beta testers for Tesla robotaxis. I think the theory there is that Uber drivers and Hertz renters, I think Uber drivers in particular are going to be effectively, yes, beta testers for Tesla robotaxis. I think there's a really strong chance that that will happen. That they will help, and they're more likely to drive the cars more, so the cars generate more data. So that's another advantage. That's an advantage I didn't think about. Because Hertz vehicles probably get more miles put on them than the average consumer-owned Tesla, they're going to generate more data for improving FSD. That's another advantage I didn't think about. How confident am I about human-level FSD by 2030? I'm extremely confident about human-level FSD by 2023. So I think it's going to be better than human. Probably better than human by the end of 2022. Maybe middle of 2022. Gary Itano, thank you for your support. Per T Insight, Tesla gives us a free charger for every 6 of their cars bought by individuals or businesses. Does that apply to the Hertz deal? I don't know the answer to that question. I think that Tesla is going to be cooperating with Hertz in deploying charging infrastructure at Hertz locations. I think that that's important for the future of the robotaxi network. So guys like Jason DeBolt are going to be worth $1 billion. Yes, I think Jason DeBolt is going to be a billionaire. Yes. I think Bruce Burnworth is going to be a billionaire. I think I have a shot at it too. I'm probably a long way from that, but I think if other things go right, I got a shot at it too. Jim Whitehead says part of the Starlink thing is the power drain would go exponentially high to try and cram it into a cell phone because efficiency plummets when the antenna is less than the wavelength. Yeah, there's all kinds of issues. It just doesn't work. Views on Aptera, please. So did I make a video? I don't know if I made a video on Aptera. I think Aptera is interesting. I don't think you can generate enough solar energy on the surface area of a car. I want to see them succeed. I think Aptera failed once before. I like the concept. I think it looks cool. I want them to succeed. But, you know, let's see them. They got to do it. You know, it's one thing to make pictures and videos. It's another thing to actually do it. And I am criticizing others for that. I am putting myself down that path where I am in the middle of chassis engineering for the single passenger EV. And I expect to have the engineering of the vehicle done early 2022 and then go to prototype manufacture, building a prototype next year. And prototypes are easy, manufacturing is hard, but I want to see, whether we can get close. I'm dropping serious money into this. What do I think of Gary Black's comment that there are 8 competitors ahead of Tesla and FSD? I think I quote tweeted Gary on that and disagreed with a meme suggesting I disagree with him. I don't think anyone is ahead of Tesla and FSD. No one is even close to Tesla and FSD. And their robotaxi services are a joke. I wrote in the Waymo, check my channel for my Waymo experience. It's a joke. They're very limited. They can't scale. There's this whole idea. Look, it's one thing to make a car that can drive itself in a limited space. It's another thing to make a car that can drive itself anywhere, that can encounter a road it's never seen before and deal with it. That's what Tesla FSD is. That's what none of the other ones have. Hertz leaps, thank me later. I don't know whether are leaps long puts or long calls. Will Austin have improved paint shop? I think so. I thought that the manufacturing systems at Berlin and Texas are meant to mirror each other, and there can be slight differences, but they're basically going to learn from each other and improve both. A lot of tax credits will go to Toyota because of plug-in hybrids. I haven't seen that. I've heard. See, I just don't think the tax credit's going to happen at all. Solo is unsuitable for one-passenger EV business. I don't remember which is the Solo. Is that the Aptera? I don't know what the Solo is. Elon is not joking about starting his own university. He's starting his own city. He named his car Sexy. Boring company started as a joke. This is how he starts real things. I do think there's a chance that Elon would start a university, but that's a really, really big investment. And I don't think Elon really believes that universities are the answer to producing quality labor. It's about, I think he probably would see another way of doing that, like Ad Astra, his school for his kids. It's not that Republicans are going to kill the EV tax credit bill. It's the Democrats are going to kill the EV tax credit. It's a sham. It's meant to distract you from other stuff. Ibrahim says, Warren, please correct the misunderstanding. WFP is asking $6 billion to feed 42 million people for the year, not to end world hunger. The media lied. Okay, the media lied. Then you just clarified it. Thank you. I don't know what World Food Program said. Samson says, have you seen Mobileye New York City videos? They seem very close to Tesla. Are those Mobileye videos or are those fan videos? Are those people who own cars with Mobileye software and hardware in them, and the individuals are demonstrating how cool my Mobileye system works? If Mobileye is making their own videos, that's not impressive. There are people who are driving FSD Beta who are just people who own Teslas, and they're making fan videos about how cool their FSD Beta is. And they're not limited to New York City. They're driving everywhere. Everywhere. Top EV says, how would the SpaceX stock share be allocated? Would it be you for every one share of Tesla you own be allowed to buy one share of Starlink? I don't know how that would work. I don't even know if Elon is correct that it can be done. I mean, Elon knows a lot more about this stuff. I think it's questionable whether they can make a deal where Tesla shareholders get access to Starlink stock. I don't see how that works. James Stevenson latest forecast implies Tesla share price around $5,000 in 2025. Do I think this is bullish or bearish? Well, it's not bearish, but I don't think it's bullish enough. I think that the stock price in I think that the company's value in 2025, if all goes reasonably well, should be more than $10,000 a share and possibly $20,000 a share. Bruce Burnworth thinks $25,000 a share in 2025. So, oh, great question from Joe Jablonski. How's my diet coming? So it's a combination of diet and exercise now. I've added exercise. This space allowed me to set up a little bit of, just a limited amount of exercise equipment. But I'm down. I weighed myself this morning. I was just under 200, but I've been down in the 198s, up from 220. Still intermittent fasting. I probably ate too much yesterday. I went and visited a friend. But I eat light in the morning. I eat light in the evening, and I try not to eat lunch, or I eat very little for lunch, and it's going really well. Sean says, why do you always act like you don't know how options work? Because I don't know how options work. I genuinely don't know how options work. I can look at it. I can kind of understand it. Oh, the Austin School of Sciences. That's good. Okay, so there's going to be a joint campus. They're going to share a campus. It's going to be Texas Institute of Technology and Science and the Austin School of Sciences. So, Sean, I genuinely, I vaguely understand how options work. I think options are too complicated. It's so much easier to buy Tesla and hold it than it is to get involved in options. Will Uber and Lyft also purchase a fleet of Teslas? No, the story was that Uber is not buying Teslas because if they own the cars, then the Uber drivers would be considered employees. So if they partner with Hertz, then the drivers are not employees. Admiral Medjay says, which company does the R&D for your Podcar? There is no company yet. I am working with a few people on Upwork to start the rough design for a first generation alpha prototype of the Podcar. And once the first generation Podcar is complete, we'll look at doing more. Francois Couture, thank you for your support. Bought a Model 3 Standard Range Plus this week. Will be a happy owner of both TSLA and Tesla. It'll be Quebec licensed TQ Elon. Thank you, Elon. I like it. I like it. Congratulations on your vehicle. I think you're going to enjoy it. This can be a blast. It's really drive it for a week and then try to drive an internal combustion engine car. So Admiral Medjay, the plan is to get the alpha prototype up and running, and then we're going to look at doing the second generation beta prototype, and that's going to be R&D. But that will be my company. I'm probably going to form 2 separate companies for the 2 separate startups. I'm thinking about starting them up in one company. I'm not sure about that. I haven't figured that thought out yet. But the R&D, if we can call that, is going to be in-house. Whether I'm going to use outside contractors or bring in an actual employee or 2, I haven't decided yet. That's going to depend on money situation. And, am I going to do a crowdfunding round before I do that? I haven't decided that yet either. Or am I going to seek investors? Because, right now I have some cash I can put into this. Not cash, I have assets that I can put into this. So if I can fund it myself, I'm going to fund it myself. I'm going to keep it in-house as much as possible. I don't like the world where people are going out and raising crazy amounts of cash from crazy people, but I may have to dip into it because, you know, if I can raise $5 million from crowdfunding, why not? Because I don't really want to be responsible for other people's money until I'm ready. Both Dems and Republicans, I don't want to get into politics, so I'm going to stay away from that one. Post highlighting that the sexy lineup is followed by cars. Yeah, that's something people have talked about. Cybertruck, ATV, Roadster, Semi. When do I think Dojo will start being used to accelerate FSD trading? If you listen to the Q3 investor call, it sounded like Drew said they're already using a limited version of Dojo. I'm not sure whether they're using it already or not, but I think when is it going to be in full use? I'm going to guess 3 to 6 months. That's a guess. What about when Neuralink rolls around? I'm not sure what your question is, Martin. I think Neuralink is minimum 5 years away from any significant volume of business. Minimum of 5 years. Before they're, you know, before they have more than, let's say, 100 people with Neuralink implants in them. Jim Whitehead says the university can be started by Elon for far less than $1 billion because he can persuade others to handle his TITS project. To handle his TITS, yes. Other people will want to handle his TITS, sure. Oh, Highway 92. I know Highway 92. Patricia says her son has FSD beta drives. He drives on Highway 92. I think Highway 92 is the highway from Half Moon Bay to Silicon Valley. Is that right? Yeah, that's a crazy road. A lot of traffic deaths on Highway 92, if that's the road we're talking about. Let's see. Post highlighting this. Yeah, let's see. All right, let me go to the bottom here. You were thinking of developing a Podcar. Why? I think there's a huge market for single-passenger self-driving electric vehicles. A huge market potential for that, and Tesla has told me they're not doing it. And I haven't seen anybody else doing it, and I said I needed to stop talking about it, start doing something, so I'm doing it myself. Do I think Tesla peaked last Friday at 11.14, or will it keep on rallying? I don't have opinions on short-term share prices other than the stock will fluctuate. Do I have update for remote access to Tesla cameras? So I tried to access the cameras from my... I don't see it on the screen on my car to be able to enable that. I don't know why. When will Berlin start to produce? I think Berlin is going to start to produce in December. Start deliveries in January. Maybe some initial deliveries in December. I'm not sure. Which scales first, Podcar or Lucid? I think the Podcar scales first. Do I think Robotaxi will only be offered to specific Tesla models? No, I think Robotaxi will be available on every Tesla. Starlink Hotspot will support a lot of phones over Wi-Fi. I think there's potential for a cell phone company to use Starlink base stations to support even not just Wi-Fi, but like 4G or 5G in an area. So you take an area that doesn't have good cell service, you drop a Starlink antenna, and you power a small cell tower from there, and you can cover some area. I think there's real potential for that to happen. Thank you for your support, Mark Stevenson. Do I think Tesla... I thought I just answered this, Mark. Do I think Tesla peaked last Friday at an all-time high, or will it keep on rallying towards 1,200 on Monday market open? I don't like to predict what will happen in a day or even a week or even a month. I don't think Tesla's anywhere near a peak. I think Tesla's going to go to $2,500. It's going to go to $5,000. It's going to go to $10,000, $20,000, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 potentially. Aptera is not doing what I want to do with their car. This is a really important thing. So Roger Smith says, he refers to Aptera, and he says that by doing a tricycle design in most states it'd be classified as a motorcycle. So my Podcar is not intended for U.S. roads. I'm not saying I wouldn't allow it to be used on U.S. roads, but I don't believe it will meet U.S. regulatory standards. So the idea is to target places where the value of the Podcar will be even greater for a larger number of people because they need really low-cost rides. Now, the hope is that we license FSD from Tesla, we put it on the Podcar goes out and serves customers in India, in Egypt, in Brazil, in the Dominican Republic, places where traffic safety is really important because a lot of pedestrians get hit. And the value of delivering a really low-cost ride is bigger. Dedicated to Success asks a question I get asked a form of this all the time. Do I think Lucid will compete with Tesla? No. I think Lucid's own plans indicate they are not trying to compete with Tesla. Lucid has been very clear from the very beginning they are trying to compete with the Mercedes-Benz S-Class and maybe the BMW 7 Series. They are not trying to compete with Tesla. You are not going to compete. Tesla's average selling price is around $50,000 a car. Lucid's planned average selling price is over $100,000 a car until 2026. So you're not competing with a $50,000 car company by selling a $110,000 car. I don't know why people think they're competition for Tesla. It's like you have to be absolutely blind. You have to be absolutely blind or absolutely stupid not to see that this is not competition for Tesla. On Lucid's own plan, their average selling price will be over $100,000 a car. Tesla's bread and butter is $50,000 a car. There's no competition there. It's competition for the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. It's competition for the BMW 7 Series. It has nothing to do with Tesla. Nothing. I don't know why people don't get that. Oh, Jim says perhaps you can sell some pod cars at a few resorts where people live and not worry about a plate. So the idea isn't just to sell a view, and it's not. Resorts are going to want luxury. The pod car is going to be inexpensive. You know, Nelson, thank you for your comment about Brazil. I was talking with a neighbor who is from Brazil, and he also agreed. This is the idea. The idea isn't you're going to sell pod cars to individuals. It's fleets of pod cars providing robo-taxi transportation to people who can't afford to own their own car and can't really afford the cost of transportation that exists now, and the transportation is really inconvenient. I'm not sure why Mark deleted that message. There was something from Chase Lantana. Is Lucid Motors' $41 billion market cap too expensive? Lucid Motors' market cap is $60 billion. Lucid Motors' market cap is $60 billion. Google LCID. $60 billion for a company that hopes to make $4 billion in gross profit in 2026, 5 years from now, if everything goes right. Chris asks, for those single passenger vehicles, will there be an iteration with different mobility scenarios like electric snowmobiles, jet skis? No, this is not. And he asks, are you trying to get the wealthy buyers initially funding the logo? No, this is designed for poor people from the beginning. Poor and lower middle class people, particularly middle class people in poor countries. The volume of population in a country like India who are not well served by their transportation today is like, to me, India is the biggest market for this. Even a $25,000 Tesla is not ideal for a test for India. You got to get the price down. And that guy who lives on $2,000 a year, if you can save him $20 on a ride for 100 miles, he's going to jump at it. That's where the target is. The target is not for fat Americans like me to get a ride. Or to have a fun car. It's not even going to be fun. It's not intended to be fun. It's not a fun utility vehicle. It's a boring utility vehicle. The boring robo-taxi, BR. So I think Arcimoto is a good thing for resorts, maybe. But what I'm trying to design is not for what are poor people. FSD represents a giant matzo ball of profit in the future, but doesn't TeslaBot represent an even bigger matzo ball? Watch my interview with Dave Lee on the channel. Towards the end of the interview, we talked about TeslaBot, and Dave definitely agrees with that. Oh, Electromechanica sells its solo electric vehicle. I think the Electromechanica, a lot of people tell me about these other small vehicles that are available or that people are pushing. They don't scale. People don't want to drive them. My vision is not something that's fun to drive or something that you drive. It's something that drives you. Can BYD be competitive with Tesla when they come to the USA? I think so. I think BYD has real potential to be a significant player in the EV market, but don't think about it being competitive with Tesla. Think about it being competitive with internal combustion engine vehicles. If they come to the USA and they sell cars and people buy BYD instead of gas cars, great. See, with the 4680 battery, gigapress, etc., how much lower in price will the Berlin Model Y be? So Tesla's cost of manufacturing the Berlin Model Y is going to drop substantially with the gigapresses and the 4680 structural pack. No, I don't think 4680 is going in the Berlin Model Y yet. I think the 4680 is going into Texas Model Y. But ultimately, I think you're going to see their cost of making a Model Y be significantly less than the current cost of making a Model 3. So less than $20,000 to make them. That's my gut hunch. It's going to cost them less than $20,000 a car to make them, and they're going to be selling them for $60,000. Armando, have you driven a Lucid before? No. Very few people have driven a Lucid. I wasn't invited to the event. If Lucid was interested in persuading me, then they could have invited me to their event and let me drive in the car. But they're not interested in persuading me. I saw that Lucid stock went up, yes. Is anyone currently in the US attempting anything similar to a Podcar? I don't know of anybody who's trying to do what I'm trying to do, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build something that's incredibly inexpensive, incredibly simple to build, incredibly lightweight, not incredibly lightweight, fairly lightweight, and designed from the get-go to no steering wheel, no pedals, and simple in other ways. I haven't seen anybody trying to do what I'm trying to do. I'm not saying they're not out there, but I get people sending me images and videos of these other cars like the Electromechanica Solo. I saw that before you did. I know all about these things. I've been researching this for a while. I've been looking for somebody to do it. Nobody's doing it, so I'm doing it. Brian Roshetsky, who does drone videos for Giga Texas, says, when do I start my Podcar? Where do you start starting? So we're doing engineering work now to basically come up with a CAD CAM computer-aided design file for how to build it. Then I'm going to have, that's coming from people from elsewhere. Then I'm going to build it locally. We also have to do powertrain design, which we're going to do before we do the building the chassis. I know what wheels and tires I want to use. I have a pretty good idea what the structure of the vehicle is going to be. I have a pretty good idea of the battery pack. I have a pretty good idea of the motor. I have some pretty big innovations. I'm taking the best part is no part to heart. And then I envision starting it, running it locally without, making it commercial and running it off-road, on parking lots or something like that. But when I start, let's say, produce 100, I envision going to somewhere like the Dominican Republic, which has a really high traffic fatality rate. And if you could save lives in the Dominican Republic, that would be a really big deal. And traffic fatalities are typically cars hitting into pedestrians. And this much lighter weight vehicle driven by Tesla FSD is going to be much less likely to hit people. So if we can get drunk drivers in the Dominican Republic we can get drunk drivers in the Dominican Republic out of their cars and into a Podcar robotaxi, that should save a lot of lives in the Dominican Republic, and that's a good test case. It doesn't have to be the Dominican Republic. That's just a place that I'm aware has a really high traffic fatality problem. If you follow baseball, you know at least one or two American baseball players who came from the Dominican Republic have died in traffic accidents in the Dominican Republic. So who suggested? Oh, somebody. I didn't talk about my exercise. I'm doing sit-ups. I have a specific bench designed for doing sit-ups, and I'm doing push-ups. I got push-up handles that on the floor, so I can go deeper on the push-ups. I'm doing a bunch of leg exercises, which are important for my back, and I'm doing deep leg squats, and I'm going to work on doing more. And I added weights to the leg lifts now. I have ankle weights that I already had them, and I just found them and added them. So I tried doing sit-ups this morning. It was hard. I did a lot of sit-ups yesterday, and apparently I can't do sit-ups every day yet. Oh, let's see. Thank you for your support, Mark Stevenson. Instead of engineering a whole car from the ground up, next chat. I'm waiting. Thank you for your support. Will the Podcar have pedals? No pedals. No pedals, no controls. You sit in it, it takes you where you want to go. Any thought? Oh, Mark Stevenson's we're on slow mode. Sorry, Mark. Any thoughts on unmanned farming ground vehicles? That's a specialized application that you'd need a farmer to do something about. I don't know enough about that to really answer. Squat, bench, overhead, press, pull-ups. What? Squat, bench, overhead, press. Well, I'm doing squat. I'm doing push-ups, which is like bench. Oh, Mark Stevenson, would it be more efficient and easier to convert a small ICE car to EV skateboard design? No, the key is that this vehicle is going to be really, really small. It's going to be 36 inches wide, which is a meter wide, a little less than a meter wide. It's going to be 7 feet long, which is like 2 feet long, 2 meters long. And it's going to be about 50 inches high. So the frontal surface area is going to be really small. And there's other aspects of the design that are going to make it really aerodynamic. And that's going to be really important. I just looked at I was driving down the road and I saw a Fiat 500, which is one of the smallest cars on the road. And I looked, and it's much wider. It's much longer. I want to make something really, really small designed for one person. And it's hard for people to wrap their heads around when it's designed for one person. It's not designed to be super safe either. I use my Total Gym and have a weight bar for it. Noreen, if you would put a comment on the video with like a link to Total Gym, I'll take a look at it. I mean, I spent very little money on my equipment, right? I got $60 bench. I got push-up handles for like $10 or $20. I got a yoga mat for cheap. I'm just trying to do some exercise, right? The leg squat, the deep squats are easy. Will I approach J-Lo for a Podcar investment? No, I don't know who J-Lo is. Are we talking about J-Lo? J-Lo? Warren is a chick magnet. I'm definitely not a chick magnet. Definitely not a chick magnet. And by the way, the story there is I was having stomach pain, gastritis, according to my doctor, and she suggested doing strength exercises that would help. Yes, I did see Martin Vieca's tweet. I believe I replied to his tweet. Do I think Robotaxi will be offered to outside the USA? Eventually, Robotaxi will be everywhere. Maybe build the Podcar in the countries where they'll be used to avoid import taxes. Yes, I think the idea is to build it in the United States first to get it right. And then once we've got it right, then we look at manufacturing locally. But, you know, the cost of building is going to be so low that the import duties will be really low as well. And the pitch to the country, you know, you go to a country and say, listen, we're going to save lives. And we're not really competing with anything else out there. So why are you charging us an import tariff? And, you know, some governments will resist and some won't. But building in India would make a lot of sense. Tony Sonitis says, at what Patreon level do you say what's going on with your life changes? I don't remember. I don't remember. I'll be public about it fairly soon. Will Hertz get 100,000? I probably should do a video on Patreon talking about my personal situation. Will Hertz get 100,000 $7,500 EV checks or just one check? Oh, the credits? I don't think Hertz is eligible for the credit, but I think there's a different credit for companies buying electric vehicles, and I think they get a 30% tax credit on that. Somebody said that. I don't know the answer. Hey, do I think Lucid will finish the 456 cars by the end of the year? No. Ewan, thank you. Ewan, Rag, thank you for your comment on gastritis. I think different people, everybody has a different medical condition, and my gastritis is much better right now. Warren will move to Austin if he can afford it. He may have to sell some Tesla. I can afford to move to Austin. I'm not moving to Austin yet. I'm here for I'm in this location for at least a year. And then we'll see where I'm going. It might be Austin. It might be Canaveral. It might be New Hampshire. It might be Japan. A lot of good ideas. Uber didn't buy Teslas directly because they would have to classify the drivers as employees if they did that. Will Tesla add a quantity on the order screen after this? That's a good idea. Let's see. How much does aerodynamics matter at 50 kilometers per hour and under? The aerodynamics don't matter as much at lower speed, but I would expect that the Podcar robo-taxis will at times go 75 miles an hour or faster, which is more than 100. I think it's like 120 kilometers an hour. So, I mean, there's a lot of potential in certain situations for them to go faster, and it matters in some situations. It doesn't have to matter in all of them. The weight is a bigger deal for range and other things otherwise. It's going to be something like a teardrop shape, Jim. It will. Is Tesla inventing its own battery recycling facility, or are they licensing it from other companies? Tesla has said they're going to do their own recycling. Let's see. What time is it? 2:20. How many cars did Lucid actually deliver? The best estimate I've heard is that Lucid delivered somewhere between 5 and 6 cars. I'm pretty sure they delivered at least 5 cars to genuine customers. Quote, genuine customers. I'm pretty sure I know of at least 5, and it may be 6 or 7. It's not clear. How many delivered customers versus employees, we don't know. When Tesla launches their self-driving robo-taxi business, will Uber go bankrupt? That was my theory before. I think there's now a theory that Uber may become a partner with Tesla, or maybe Tesla acquires Uber. Who knows? Interesting. How old, young are you, Mr. Redlick? I am 55 years young. Or old. Don't forget to get a unionized Podcar workforce. Yeah, I don't think we're qualifying for an EV tax credit. So, Musk is a lizard man? The hell is that? Wheelchair people can't be Podcar people. The design for the Podcar will probably be friendlier to people with disabilities than others. I don't think a wheelchair is going to fit in the Podcar. but someone who's got some disabilities, it will probably be better for this designed to be easy to step into without having to step high. Easier to step into than a regular car. But it's not going to carry a wheelchair. My original plan is not to carry a wheelchair. Maybe Lucid can build my pods. When will the next major Tesla bot announcement be? I think Tesla bot's not going to have anything happening until 2023. No major announcements. There's job postings for it. Giga Shanghai is reported to yield 100,000 a month by 2022 year end. I don't think that's true, Gary. Do I have a projection for all Tesla cars for 2022, 2023? I don't think Giga Shanghai could produce 100,000 cars a month by 2022. I don't think it's capable. I think Giga Shanghai tops out around 1 million vehicles a year, which is less than 100,000 a month, unless they add more lines or create a bigger, create more space. Oh, William Wu says, Warren, did you know they sell $1,000 EV cars in China? I saw on a YouTube video. Interesting. Yes, I've seen videos of $1,000 cars in China. They are flimsy. They are not high speed. They don't have range. They are designed for small people. They're designed to be driven. It's promising that they're able to build a full-featured car, quote, full-featured car. I think they even have air conditioning for $1,000. It's promising for my hopes of building a $1,000 Podcar. I think my Podcar should ultimately cost $1,000 to build or even less. It's actually going to be, for the long run, it's actually be more important that they be energy efficient than that they be low cost, because $1,000 amortized over 1 million miles is only 1/10 of a penny a mile, where the cost of electricity can end up being a penny a mile. So it's actually going to be more important to design a vehicle that is more efficient. And then, the cost of licensing FSD is probably going to be more. So I think the cost of the car is actually going to be less important than the simplicity of manufacturing it in volume and particularly the electrical efficiency of the vehicle. That's going to be really huge. Where do I put my wheelchair? How do I get in? I'm just going to say this. The Podcar Robotaxi is not designed for wheelchairs. I'm sorry. I'm trying to save the world from massive pollution from gasoline-powered and diesel-powered vehicles and make life better for a large share of the population. And I cannot solve your wheelchair problem. So I'm sorry that my startup company does not solve every problem the world has to offer. I'm trying to solve a couple problems. Philip says, try a stand-up desk for your back. My back is... these exercises help my back. I'm doing good. Let's see. Everybody has an issue. Everybody has an issue. Everybody has, your particular problem is the biggest problem in the world, and anybody who's not working on your problem is not doing the right things. There's a lot of problems in the world that need to be solved, and somebody working on some problem is better than somebody not working on anything. I'm not sitting on the couch doing nothing. I'm trying to do something. That's not good enough for you, GFY. What gets me excited about the future? Larry the Lobster. I think that... I think it's a combination of... I think Elon gets me excited about the future. I think going to space gets me excited about the future. I think watching children learn gets me excited about the future. Watching people innovate gets me excited about the future. The Podcar is so cheap. Shouldn't you try to get the EV credit? Yeah, this is not designed for US. I'm so excited about the future for so many different reasons. I see so many good things happening. I see Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods innovating on meat, making food better and making food cheaper and making food more energy efficient and more environmentally friendly. There's so many good things. Thank you for asking this question, because you really got me excited. I see so many good things. I mean, there's bad things happening in the world all the time, but there's so many good things happening in the world. And when you see the good things happening, and you see, people hate Twitter. I see so many exciting people on Twitter who are doing innovative things. Shira Eisenberg. Check out Shira Eisenberg on Twitter. Check out Siobhan Zillis on Twitter. Those are just a couple. I see Eliana Sheriff, Alien Space Channel on YouTube. I see Marcus House. There's a lot of YouTubers who give me excitement. Whole Mars Catalog, Whole Mars Blog, K10. There's so many people in the Tesla community who get me excited. I think Bruce Banner was in the channel before. There's a lot of the people I see on Clubhouse are in here. Everybody gets me excited about how great things are being. You can focus on what's wrong, or you can focus on what's right, and you can focus on what's going wrong, or you can focus on what's getting better. And I see so many things getting better. I just spent the last 20 years basically raising 2 kids who are now 19 and 16, and I put a lot of effort into it, and I enjoyed it so much, and I see how great they've turned out so far, and I'm really excited about that. So I see so many good things happening, and if you're not watching, you don't see it. Mark Stevenson said, here's a link to an X, the Reno single passenger Podcar. I don't want to buy somebody else's Podcar. I really appreciate your support, but I don't want to convert somebody. Look, Tesla made the mistake when they built the Roadster of converting somebody else's car to an EV. Okay? And Elon said they should have built an EV from the ground up. Okay? So converting somebody else's car to what I want is not the idea. The idea is to build what I want to build from the ground up. It's not going to cost that much. It's the right idea. It's the right way to do it. I think it was up to 1,500. Dave LaDuca, I think I was up to 1,500 earlier in the video. Let's see, where are we? I think we peaked at we peaked at 1,550 something. So we're still going. Keep it going. Let's keep talking. Thank you, Dave. Hertz will build superchargers. Is this how Tesla? Yes, I think Hertz. I don't think Hertz is going to build superchargers. I think Hertz is going to deploy charging infrastructure, and it's probably going to be Tesla focused. Oh, Tesla rocketed in the last 2 months corresponds with Elon and Grimes breaking up. I don't think that's connected. Do I know TTCF stock? I know about that company. They're not doing plant-based meat. They're doing vegetarian food. It's still interesting, but that's Tattooed Chef, I think. Beyond Meat Impossible Foods, Memphis Meats, the lab-based meat and the plant-based meat, that innovation is fantastic. There's a lot of great innovations out there. I just think we see a lot of great things happening. I'm really excited about all of that. Why not increase the production of Model Y and 3 by increasing the size of the Gigafactory since we have a production problem shortage? Maybe more Gigacasting machine that works 24/7. I think Texas Gigafactory is plenty big for more production of Model Y and Model 3. There's no room at Fremont to expand. And they are working on increasing production of Model Y and 3, but they have to get the production system down for Model Y first. Once they get the production system down, then they can build additional lines. That's the path that they followed. And what year do I think the humanoid robots move the stock price significantly? 2026 or 2027 is my best guess. I think 2023, they're looking at a prototype. So then they go to manufacturing in 2024, 2025, and they start producing them in some volume in 2026. And when it really hits in 2027, that's where it really moves the stock price. Are these live streams monetized? I think so. Now you got me worried. Is my live stream monetized? It may be monetized now. It will be monetized after. I thought it was monetized. Now you got me freaking out. Now you got me worried. Why you got me worried like that? Thought it was monetized. I don't make as much money on the live streams as I make in my other videos. That's for sure. Thank you for reminding me. Thanks for the reminder. I don't usually make that much money on the live streams while they're live anyway. I make money on the live streams after, and I just don't make that much money on them. This is not where I make my money. I like doing them. That's why I do them. So, thank you, David. I lost about 20 pounds. I'm getting a little bit better shape physically. This place has a stairway, so now I climb stairs 3-4 times a day. Mark Stevenson says, what's the difference between your Podcar and Arcimoto's 3-wheel vehicle? So there's a bunch of differences. Number one, Arcimoto's 3-wheel vehicle costs $18,000, and the Podcar that I'm imagining is $1,000. Arcimoto is a 3-wheel vehicle. My Podcar is a 4-wheel vehicle. Arcimoto uses motorcycle tires. Mine uses car tires. Mine is designed from the get-go to be for you to be driven in it rather than for you to drive it. Weight, I think the Arcimoto weighs way over 1,000 pounds. Right now, I think our Podcar is looking to be about 600 pounds. Maybe 500 pounds? I think it's going to be 500 pounds plus the rider. 5 or 600 pounds plus the rider. Very lightweight, very aerodynamic. Some other significant differences that I've said before, but I'm not going to go into now. So I think the first version of the humanoid robot will be desirable to everyone or a niche product. I think that the design of the humanoid robot is to be a generalized product, but it will be of limited use initially, and the use cases will grow over time. But it won't have to be a different hardware system. It's just that the software is going to have to learn to do different tasks. Have I seen the Komatsu electric rock truck? No. I think that agriculture will go electric eventually, yes. Any new supercharger is a good supercharger. Do I think Elon believes the current factories can make 20 million a year? No, the current factories can't make 20 million a year. The next generation gigafactory that's coming in 2023 or 2024, those factories combined with the current factories will make 20 million a year. The current factories are probably going to top out around 6 or 8 million a year. I think Giga Texas could potentially do 6 million a year on its own, but I think we're probably looking at 6 million a year from the current factories, and you're going to have new factories. What question haven't you heard yet? I can't answer that question. Other stocks than Tesla. I think Beyond Meat is a good buy. I think I lost money on it, but I don't care. I think Hertz is a good buy. I mean, these are not a professional investment advice. These are, I'm just winging it. I still own Amazon. I'm thinking about selling my Amazon stock. Ben Pena says, how about getting help from Rich Rebuilds? It would make great YouTube content. So I think Rich Rebuilds is actually somewhere far. There is a Rich Rebuilds location near me, but I don't think that's the place I want to go. I am in talks with, I have one guy locally who I know is a friend who might be able to build it for me, and that would be less expensive and that would be desirable. I'm meeting with somebody this week who has a shop where he can build, he has a facility where he builds things, and he might be able to build it for me. So I need to get the engineering design done. And once the engineering design is done, we build the initial alpha prototype, and then we see, all right, what do we learn from the alpha prototype and how do we do better in the future? What are the goals? What do we need to do to make it better? I have some big ideas that are risky. So, the best part is no part. If you take it to the extreme, can get risky. But, it's not risky to do it in a prototype. It either works or it doesn't work. So Ramesh, I don't know about Mahendra's electric auto rickshaw or tuk-tuk. If you put a comment on the video, hopefully I will see that. How they don't have a pen in this space? Would my Podcar be safe to ride bridges like the Skyway or mountain areas, or is it just a city idea? The Podcar will be safer than a motorcycle. It will not be safer than a Tesla. Do I expect a 5-star safety rating on Podcar? No. I don't think it will be designed for crash. It's going to be designed to not crash. Brian says, am I going windowless? The idea is no windows, no doors. No windows, no doors, no brakes, no suspension. Crazy. The Tata Nano was not $1,000. It was $4,000, and it didn't sell well. The Redlick Roadster, that's not the name. Will Podcar be off-road so it can navigate New York City? It will be able to navigate difficult roads. It may not be the most comfortable ride. No suspension. How will Hertz pay for all the Teslas? I'm thinking they're going to borrow money to pay for all the Teslas, but I don't know. Don't give up on the doghouse. Make the Podcar soundproof. The Podcar will not be soundproof. It's not going to be a comfortable ride. It'll be an adequate ride. It'll be more comfortable than a tuk-tuk. It'll be more comfortable than a motorcycle. Any other stocks I'm excited about other than Tesla? Tesla's the one I'm most excited about. I'm really excited about the Boring Company and Neuralink. So Tesla split. I don't worry about splits. I think there's a decent chance a split is coming, but I don't know when. Long-term price earnings ratio. That depends on year. So as Tesla is growing really, really fast, the PE ratio should be way over 100. As Tesla's growth slows, at some point the growth is going to slow. My guess is around 2026 or 2027. When the growth slows, the price earnings ratio comes down. But right now the growth is off the charts. When the growth drops below 50%, you're going to see the price earnings ratio drop. Excited about the Artemis program. I'm a little excited about Artemis. I don't know if it's the best way of getting to the moon or if just Starship going straight to the moon on its own makes more sense. We'll see. I don't know enough about Artemis. What I've seen, I'm a little excited about it. I'm more excited about just the general idea of going to the moon, and going to Mars, and going in like volume, like a lot of people, not just a few. Let's see. Impossible Chicken. What? Robopod is about not getting hit, not surviving it. Look, if you get hit on a motorcycle, it's not going to be safe. My goal is to be safer than a motorcycle, not safer than a car. And crashes. Safer than a motorcycle and as safe as a car in terms of avoiding crashes. I don't know what CYBL is. Do I think Company X will happen? No. Will Tesla sell to other rental companies as well? Probably. I definitely think Enterprise Rental Car is thinking about it right now. How do you get in without doors? A clamshell. It opens like this. And you step in the front. Everyone hates my idea, but that's what we're doing. It's my idea. I'm doing what I'm doing. Impossible chicken nuggets are amazing. I'll have to try that. I don't know if they're breaded. I don't like breaded, though. Philip says you're interested in helping build my prototype. Philip, email me. Go to the About page on my channel and get my email address and send me an email and we'll talk about it. I think I'm already set for building it, but I'm interested in help. I don't know who the original Roadster belonged to. I think the original Roadster belonged to Elon. Killing customers is a bad plan, yeah. Is it like a coffin? Sure, it's like a coffin. Am I talking about Arcimoto FUV? No. I did a video about Arcimoto recently. Elon has said that Tesla will be the most valuable company, and he believes it. Advanced Technologies Group in Stewart, Florida. What am I checking them out for? I don't retain the chat comments, so you gotta put that in a comment on the video. I don't, and not that I don't retain it. It's just that I won't be looking at the chat again. Will Tesla skyrocket eventually? Yes. And oh, Ben Pena, great question. Would the Podcar be perfect for boring tunnels? That is one of my big ideas. That if I get the Podcar working, it should work really well in the boring tunnels because the road surface should be really smooth. There shouldn't be potholes to worry about. So the suspension will be less of an issue. It takes up half the lane width, so you can double the bandwidth of the tunnels. It takes up less space in the stations, so you can double the bandwidth of the stations. A lot of advantages to that, and it's not going to be plaid. Have I heard about Rocket Lab? Sure. Rocket Lab's cool. No doors, how clamshell? Well, Sheena Ibu Scar. I don't pay attention to crypto. I mean, I like crypto, but I don't pay much attention to it. It's just too much on my mind. Did I buy NEO? I think that NEO has potential, but I don't think their battery swap model is a good plan. Some people saying SpaceX will become a $1 trillion company. Would it ever surpass Tesla? What with its AI and robots too? I think that SpaceX, it's hard to value SpaceX. We're actually talking about doing a video with a group of other YouTubers about SpaceX, about comparing Tesla, SpaceX, Boring Company, and Neuralink in terms of future valuation. So I think Starlink is potentially a $5 trillion company. Starlink alone, let me say that again. I think Starlink alone is potentially a $5 trillion company. But I think Tesla is a potentially $100 trillion company. So what's hard to value is how much is the launch business worth? What's the value of just the launch business? And what's the value of the Mars mission? Like if SpaceX actually succeeds in building a Mars colony and becomes the transportation system to and from Mars and owns stuff on Mars and Mars actually develops an economy, what is that worth? I don't know how to value that. What was it? The Dutch East India Company was the most valuable company in the world because of this type of business model. So potentially, yes, it should. Well, can it split lanes like a motorcycle? I don't know how wide motorcycles are. Are motorcycles 36 inches wide? If a motorcycle is wider than 36 inches, then it should be able to split lanes. But that's not really the idea. It's not designed for U.S. roads. What's my estimate price for Starlink when it IPOs? I don't know how to do that. I'm guessing that Starlink IPOs at more than $100 billion, but I don't know the share price. I don't know how you would figure that. And I think it's gonna IPO when it's already profitable. So I think it's gonna IPO at 100 billion plus. And if it IPOs at 100 billion, I'm buying. People ask about next Gigafactory location all the time. I think the locations they have are already great. And I think the next expansion is going to be at the existing locations. I think that was said in the Q3 call. But they've also said they're starting to look. They will start looking for other locations in 2023, I think they said. I don't think they're even looking for other locations right now. So I think Tesla's market cap can get too big. I think Tesla can get so big that it starts to provoke really strong regulatory interest and antitrust interest from governments. And I think one of the things that Tesla might do is they might break up the company to Tesla Europe, Tesla China, Tesla US, Tesla Energy, a separate company, Robo Taxi as a separate company. There's a lot of ways that they could handle that. Andy Onion says the launch business is worth pennies today. If prices fall to $10 a kilogram, will it ever be worth money? Well, the point is that if the cost of launch goes to $10 a kilogram, how much can you sell the launch for? And if you could sell the launch for $100 a kilogram while it only costs you $10 a kilogram, there's a lot of money in that. Nelson Silva says that no suspension on the Podcar might be an issue in countries where the roads are full of potholes. So one of the thoughts is to do a suspension on the seat, but the practical reality is people ride bicycles without suspensions. I agree that I may have to bend on the no suspension idea, but I think if we put a suspension on the seat, that might be good enough. And the passengers should be belted in so that they wouldn't hit their head on the roof or the door. There is no door. They should be belted in securely, so that shouldn't be a problem. How much do I think Tesla's eventual business selling batteries to other OEMs is worth? I don't think Tesla's going to sell batteries to other OEMs. I don't see why Tesla would sell batteries. Tesla has effectively infinite demand for their own batteries. They're not selling them. I can't speak for Gary Black. How about new gigafactories in US, UK, and Japan simultaneously? Look, I think that Giga Osaka makes a lot of sense. I think Giga Rio or Giga Sao Paulo makes a lot of sense. I think that I think an R&D center in India would make a lot of sense. Whether that leads to manufacturing in India, I don't know. But an R&D center, there's so much great engineering talent in India. So many people are willing to work hard. Thank you for your support, Philip. Could Elon one day become the world's first genuine James Bond supervillain? Yes. Yes, he could. Oh, Declan says, I think I know your answer to this, Warren, but are you surprised how fast the stock has gone up this month? Yeah, I'm a little surprised that the stock run up. I think the stock had to run up eventually, and I think it's odd that Hertz was the trigger for it. I think the real trigger to the stock run up is when FSD, as Elon says, when FSD goes into wide release. When Tesla solves FSD, which is 3 to 6 months away, maybe less, maybe more. But when FSD beta gets good enough that they're able to put it in wide release as just FSD, and the car can drive itself, and large numbers of people experience it, and Wall Street experiences, and they realize how good it is, that's the real uncorker. That's when the stock goes to $5,000 a share. Everett says Giga Osaka would piss Toyota and Honda off. No, I don't think Honda is very influential in Japanese politics. Toyota is more influential in Japanese politics. But Hiromichi Mizuno, who's a Tesla board member, I believe is from Osaka, and he's very well connected with the Japanese government and the Japanese business community. And Panasonic is their home base is in Osaka. Osaka is a manufacturing center. It's kind of a Chicago, I don't know what you would call it. So I think Osaka could be a really good place for it. And look, they located in China, and everybody thought they couldn't get opportunity to build a factory in China. They can get into China. Why can't they get into Japan? John Irwin says about the Podcar, it looks like the seat is your major safety component. I wouldn't say that. I don't think I put that much thought into the safety of the passengers yet. I'm just trying to get a prototype to work. I'm trying to get a prototype that moves forward, stops, and turns, and looks about the right size. And from that, and so you can sit in it and you can see what it feels like to look in it. The alpha prototype is going to go no more than 15 miles an hour. Once we have the alpha prototype, then we can get into bigger thoughts. Somebody needs to be banned from the channel. Sorry, I need to ban somebody from the channel. I don't think labor costs are an issue in Japan. I think that the issue is that there's a lot of talent, like really strong engineering talent in Japan. There's a lot of hard workers in Japan. And once you go to, Giga Press, when you go to Giga casting the vehicle, there's a lot less labor involved in the costs. I think there's a lot of potential. Japan is a great place to manufacture. I mean, Toyota's successful globally for a reason. To say that Japan has too high cost of labor is like, well, why is Toyota so successful then? I think that FSD will be solved before Dojo is running full steam. Yes, I think that FSD will. Well, first of all, FSD is never solved. I think FSD will be better than human. Or following Elon, FSD. Oh, I'm sorry. No, do I think FSD will be solved before Dojo is online? Not necessarily. I think FSD will be solved before Hardware 4, which is late next year. It'll be better than human before late next year. It's never going to be solved. They're going to keep improving it. Will I crash test the prototype? No. No, the prototype is designed to just get an experience of what is it like to sit in this thing? How does it move? What can we learn from building the alpha prototype so we can go forward with a beta prototype? Can we use the alpha prototype to show people this is what we're trying to do? And now can we use that to do a funding round if we need to do funding at that point? There's a lot of different ideas there. Nelson Silva, send me an email. It's wredlick@gmail.com, and I'll talk to you about my affordable home community design. It's a solar farm apartments. That's the next project that will get underway soon. Which legacy companies can survive the EV revolution? I don't think any of them will survive in the long run, but we'll see. I think the Korean companies have the best shot. Can AI see both printed and deleted information? I don't understand that question. Will the next Gigafactory location be a function of government incentives? It'll probably be relevant, but I think the next Gigafactory location will be determined by where do young, motivated engineers want to live. You know, what's a place where engineers want to live? Like, I think Orlando, the Orlando area would be a great place because people get to go to Disney on their day off. People get to go to Universal Studios on their day off. The wife and kids who never see dad because he's working so hard, they can go to Disney and Universal Studios. I think the Orlando area is Elon, if you're listening, do more in the Orlando area. Let's see some stuff in the Orlando area. Great, either that or get Disney to build a Disney World in Austin. A Japan factory will attract a lot of engineers for Tesla and possibly other companies. I think that people underestimate Japanese talent and hard work. Admiral Medjay says, I believe your Podcar prototype should have regen. Regen will be very important to the any EV depends on regen, but it will be very important to depend on regen. If Lucid fails, where do you see Tesla stock? I think Lucid has zero impact on Tesla stock. Lucid has zero impact on Tesla stock. They're not in the same marketplace. They're not in the same league. Will Amazon coin become as big as Ethereum? I didn't even know Amazon had a coin. Will Tesla fill Hertz order first or other customers first? I think they're going to be filled over the same time span. I think that the time for getting a Model 3 standard range plus just went out to like September. So when they make model range standard, you know, I think that Hertz is going to buy them over time. They're going to complete the purchase by the end of 2022. So they've got 15 months to buy them. So they're not buying them all at once. I think that probably regular customers will be buying long range and performance and will not be buying standard range plus as much, but we'll see. Do I think Tesla can stand against hydrogen cars? Yeah. Yeah, hydrogen is not a serious concern. I would love to have a peek at the agreement made with Hertz. Absolutely. There's got to be some details in there that are killer. Will I test the Podcar in the Hawthorne Hyperloop? No, I don't think the Hyperloop is an appropriate place to test it. I anticipate testing it in the parking lot of a defunct mall where there's nothing around. Which would be more profitable, a boring company in Japan or a Tesla factory in Japan? Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't know. Japan transportation is really expensive, and Japanese like tunnels, so a boring company tunnel system in Japan would make a lot of sense. That's actually kind of interesting. I think it's going to be China before Japan, but it would be really interesting to see boring company projects in Japan. They like tunnels. There's a lot of potential in Japan. That would go really well with a Gigafactory in Osaka, too. A Gigafactory making the next generation battery day vehicle in Osaka. That would make a lot of sense. Do I think Volkswagen will be the first OEM to license Tesla's FSD? They're the best candidate for it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to Nick Hollingsworth for joining the channel. Please join the channel. Please support the channel on Patreon. Links in the description below. Please check out the Daily Lie. There's a link to that in the description below. That's my political channel on the Locals platform. Could Tesla build a theme park better than Disney? Tesla's not going to build a theme park. When do I think Lucid's share price will surpass Tesla's? When Tesla does a 100-to-1 split? I don't know. I think share price is a wrong thing to look at. Market cap would be a better thing to look at. Do I know the size of my Podcar's battery pack, and would there be different pack sizes? The initial battery pack is, for the alpha prototype, I think is a 7 kilowatt hour pack. Don't hold me to that. I think we're going for a 7 kilowatt hour pack. We haven't done the powertrain design yet, but I think we're going to do a 7 kilowatt hour pack in the initial design. I think ultimately it's probably going to be a 10 to 12 kilowatt hour pack. but it's a function of we do the alpha prototype, we see what kind of range we get. We do the beta prototype, we see what kind of range we get. At that point, we have a better idea of what kind of range we need, what size battery pack we need. But ultimately, I think that the battery pack is not going to be, doing a larger battery pack is not going to be a problem. It's not going to be a huge cost component. It's going to make sense to do a larger battery pack and a more powerful motor. Even though we're not trying for fast acceleration, the more powerful motor will allow for better regen. So I think it's probably going to be a 10 kilowatt hour pack. Lithium iron phosphate. I'm not sure. I mean, I have a current plan for a 72 volt battery pack, but that, we're going to redo that design before we build it. So I think we're probably going to stick with that design, but not worrying about tax credits for the Podcar. The Podcar is going to be so cheap, tax credits aren't going to matter. How will robo-taxis be rolled out? How do they charge? Robo-taxis will charge at supercharger stations and now apparently at Hertz locations. My guess is that Tesla will roll out robo-taxi in one geographic area first. Perhaps my best guess would be California. The Bay Area of California, maybe Los Angeles area. Florida has a lot of Teslas, so that's a possibility. Las Vegas has the Boring Company tunnel system, so that's a good location. In the Austin, Texas area would make a lot of sense because there's going to be so many Tesla employees and so many Teslas in Austin, Texas. But I think the Bay Area of California is the most likely place for robo-taxis to start, just because the cars have so much experience there. Am I still getting the Model X? I still have the reservation, that I put down an order for a Tesla Model X Plaid. I am still thinking I'm going to get it in April. I'm going to wait and see when it becomes available and what my situation is, what we know about Cybertruck, because for me, Model X Plaid is like a temporary vehicle until Cybertruck comes. It's not like I'm planning on keeping the Model X Plaid and holding it. That's the temporary vehicle until Cybertruck comes. It'll be fun to have, and I think I may be able to sell it for more than I paid for it. So, mass action lawsuit against all the major car companies who actively suppressed the development of electric vehicle for decades. They ruined our planet. I don't think that's a viable class action lawsuit, but I'm not a class action lawyer, so I can't really answer that. Okay. We're at 2 hours. Let's see. Do I think Halloween is related to impacts from the Torrid meteor stream? No, I don't know what that means. Is it likely that Enterprise et al. Will buy Teslas? I think there's a really strong chance that Enterprise Rent-A-Car is going to say, crap, we got to buy Teslas now. I think they're going to do that math. Starfleet Academy. Elon should establish the Starfleet Academy. That's an interesting idea. The reason for 72 volts, MSA, is because for the Podcar, I'm thinking about having a 72 volt battery pack. The reason for 72 volts is just that's 6 12-volt batteries. I do have other designs with 48 volts, other like conceptions with 48 volts, and then it's sort of like, can I find a motor that runs at 72 volts, or maybe it'll make sense to go to 96 volts. I haven't really put a lot of. That's like once we have the chassis design, we're going to do the powertrain design, and we're going to figure that out. What's the right motor? What's the right this, and how are we going to get the regen to work? And that's a lot of that. That's going to be a more challenging part than the chassis. Vehicle to grid. I don't see the Podcar having enough power to do it. Maybe we'll have a power outlet so you can charge your phone with it and you can, run. But I'm not thinking of it for that purpose. Somebody suggested I should make it capable of towing, but I don't want to say that's impossible. I just like the basic idea right now is let's just build something that can take people for rides. Will I and Stephen Mark Ryan do the ultimate fanboy battle already? We all want it. I would love to do a video with Stephen Mark Ryan whenever he wants to do it with me. Please ask him. I think that it might be boring because we agree on everything. Have you heard anything about dojo-driven autonomous weapons? No. No, I have not heard about that. By the way, I want to thank the moderators, Mark Potocnik and Mark Plot in particular, and Jim Whitehead, for really policing the chat. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. How many people are working with me on the pod? I have 3 engineers working on chassis design right now. When we get to powertrain design, I may narrow that to 1 or 2. And then I'm meeting with somebody tomorrow about actually building the Podcar robotaxi. And I have somebody else in mind and somebody else. I have like 3 potential people to build the Podcar robotaxi as well. Would Tesla survive a total stock market crash? What we saw from recent events was when there was a nationwide or global crisis, Tesla thrived when other companies struggled. So the strong, innovative companies are most likely to survive a crisis. Yeah. Okay. We're at 2 hours. Oh, develop a 69-volt battery with how about a 420-volt battery with 69 kilowatt hours? All right. So I think 2 hours is good enough for today. I want to thank everyone for watching. Very big thank you to the moderators. Very big thank you to the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden and all my Patreon supporters for helping the channel grow. Please support the channel on Patreon. Please join the please join my locals channel. Free to follow. Pay to support if you want. Check out my book Fair DUI on Amazon. That's linked in the description below if you want to understand what happens in a traffic stop in a world that is about to die once we go to a robotaxi world. Check out my other videos. Join the channel. Support the channel in other ways. And thank everyone for supporting the channel in so many different ways. And thank you so much for watching. This I'm gonna keep getting better and better. I hope I've got more improvements coming to the everything I'm doing here. So thank you, everyone.